Mr. Mischief by Roger Hargreaves. Poor Mr. Happy had a tiring day. Rushing here and there and back again, cheering people up was hard work. Phew, he sighed as he went into his house and sat down for a well-earned rest on a kitchen chair. But then, do you know what happened? It fell to bits. Bump went poor Mr. Happy. That's all I need, he said. I rather think that I have had a visit from Mr. Mischief. He was right. Outside Mr. Happy's house and running away as fast as his little legs would carry him was a small, mischievous figure, Mr. Mischief. Oh, Mischief, glorious Mischief, he cried. I do so love it. And he ran, giggling into the night. The next morning there was a knock at Mr. Greedy's front door, but when he went to answer it, there was no one there. But what was there was a box, and inside the box was a large chocolate cake filled with cream and with the most delicious-looking pink icing. Mr. Greedy's eyes gleamed. He licked his lips and shut his eyes and opened his mouth and took a large bite. Ark! The chocolate wasn't chocolate. It was mud. The cream inside wasn't cream. It was cotton wool. And that delicious-looking pink icing wasn't icing at all. It was toothpaste. And outside Mr. Greedy's house and running away as fast as his little legs would carry him was a small, mischievous figure, giggling as he ran. That's not all. That very same morning, Mr. Funny discovered that someone had filled his hat with treacle, very sticky treacle. Can you guess who that someone might have been? However, that very same afternoon, Mr. Mischief did something that he was to regret. He was walking along through the woods, looking for Mischief, when he came across a wizard, a fast asleep wizard. I know, giggled Mr. Mischief. I changed the wizard's wand for an ordinary piece of wood, and then he can't do any magic. He grinned a mischievous grin, and he crept quietly towards the slumbering wizard. Mr. Mischief reached carefully out and seized the wizard's magic wand. But what he didn't know was that the wizard's wand don't like to be seized. Help! Shrieked the wand in a high, shrill voice, and awakens the wizard, who in turn seized Mr. Mischief by his nose, which was extremely painful. Let go of my nose! Cried Mr. Mischief. I know who you are, said the wizard. You're that Mr. Mischief who saw through poor Mr. Happy's legs. And he continued, baked a rather unusual cake for poor Mr. Greedy. And he went on, put treacle in poor Mr. Funny's hat. I've been hearing all about you, he added. Let go of my knob, cried Mr. Mischief again. Very well, said the wizard, but don't believe that you can get away with being as mischievous as that. And he let go of Mr. Mischief's nose. He got hold of his magic wand and waved it. Beware, he said, and went off. Silly wizard, muttered Mr. Mischief. Can you take a joke? And he went home. Silly wizard, he said again, as he sat down in his kitchen. Bump! Silly, silly, silly wizard, groaned Mr. Mischief, picking himself up, him and his silly magic. And he made himself some porridge for tea. Smiled Mr. Mischief, as he put a large spoonful of porridge into his mouth. Ark! Somehow, as if by magic, which of course it was. The porridge has turned into sawdust. Oh dear, sputtered Mr. Mischief. Perhaps I had better not get up so quite mischief in future after all. And he went upstairs. He jumped into bed. Splosh! The bed was full of raspberry jam. Ark! Oh dear, sighed Mr. Mischief. I think I definitely must not get up so much mischief in future. And do you know something? The day after he was as good as gold, and the next day, and the day after that, it lasted a week. And then the old mischievous urge got the better of him. He just couldn't help himself. It was a Saturday night. He crept into Mr. Fuzzy's house when he was fast asleep. And can you guess what he did? Oh, what a beautiful piece of perfect mischief, he cried as he ran giggling home. He cut off half Mr. Fuzzy's mustache. Isn't that terrible? Poor Mr. Fuzzy. He was absolutely horrified when he awoke and found out. But even that terrible mischief is that not the end of Mischief's story? So, before you read this last page, just look out of the window. Go on. You can't see a small mischievous figure anywhere about, can you? Are you sure?